first Rashi, he addressed the term Vaeschanan. Vaeschanan is an expression of due to your graciousness, and he explains that tzaddikim, whenever they supplicate Hashem, it's always matnas chinam. They're always asking God should graciously give them, although they're not deserving. So he says, "Api sheishlam tzaddikim litplus b'maseyen hatovim, and mevakshim esamokim el matnas chinam." Although there is a basis to say they're worthy because of their accomplishments, but yet they only ask from Hashem matnas chinam. He should give to him gratis. But how do you know you have a right to ask that Hashem should be gracious to give you, although you're undeserving? Because it's after the Chet Egel, Hashem said, I will be gracious to the one who I will be gracious to. Man, there is a basis to ask based on Hashem's graciousness. We find that by Yaakov Avinu, that after he had gone through fleeing from his parents' home due to the birthright, and spending all the years with Lavan and being cheated, and then finally having to confront Esav, where he thought maybe he and his family would be killed, and then his daughter Dinah is raped, and then afterwards Shimon and Levi destroy the community of Shechem, and he's upset because they put his family in jeopardy, that they could be destroyed. Finally, things settled down. V'yeshiv Yaakov, Beretz Meguri Aviv. Bikesh Yaakov Leishiv B'Shalva. Yaakov said, finally, after all this, I would just like to be in a state of tranquility. Why did Yaakov want tranquility? Because there's no question, with all this level of disruption, not having that calmness, his clarity is not the same. He feels he's gone through enough. He wants shalva. He wants tranquility. Kofetz olav rogzo shel Yosef. Because he had this feeling that he wanted shalva, therefore the strife between Yosef and his brothers all of a sudden came about. So Rashi brings Chazal, like Lodai Tzadikim. It's not up to the tzaddikim to have a share in the world to come. They even want peace in this world. It's not enough that in the world to come they have the special portion waiting for them. They want shalva b'olam hazeh. They want this state of calmness, tranquility in this world. And because he wanted that, they've kofso rogzo shel Yosef. Now, what exactly is the claim against Yaakov? He felt he's been through enough. He wants things just to be a little calmer. He's been through enough. Hashem says no. Yosef. That precipitated the whole issue between him, his children, and ultimately Yosef was sold to slavery. And ultimately, Yaakov believed Yosef was not alive for 22 years, and so on and so forth. Okay? But it's lodai l'tzadikim sheish lam chelek l'mabo. It's not a tzadikim. They have a portion of the world to come. They even want tranquility in this world. And wanted they have a right to have tranquility in this world. Now, Yaakov felt he paid his dues, so to say. Now, for what did he pay his dues? Well, there are many claims. Maybe he felt he didn't honor his parents sufficiently, not at the level of Esav. And therefore he fled, and he was in exile. And he was cheated endlessly by his father-in-law. And so Reuven, after Rachel passes away, he switches the bed, and because that Reuven forfeits his birthright. I mean, endless problems. Yaakov says, I've had enough. I think I deserve. Hashem says, you deserve nothing. And because you feel you deserve, therefore, the strife between Yosef and the brothers come about. The whole concept of feeling deserving we find over here. Tzaddikim never feel They have a right to anything. Because Hashem, they've overdrawn their line of credit. So Hashem owes them nothing. I mean, what Yaakov did over there was that he was in a violation, or somehow he touched upon this issue. Feel that he had some level of deserving, and therefore he had enough. That Hashem wanted to tell him, no, there's never a point where you're not in a state of your feathers being ruffled always. What exactly was the claim against Yaakov? So it could be, it's a semblance of this. If a person understands in terms of what Hashem has done, and everything you do, every challenge you have, and as much as Hashem turns the screws and you succeed, it turns out that was the ultimate level of opportunity. As much as you suffered, but if you were able to meet that challenge, the level of value of that has infinite worth. That's Olam Haba. This brought about, generated, we have waiting for the world to come. So what is even the consideration that you've had enough? Because every challenge you have in this world only generates more of the world to come. So Lodayon, how do you see what happens in this world that has any negative side to it, if what you have waiting in the world to come, there's nothing comparable to that? So it has nothing to do with this. Here, I feel I'm deserving. Therefore, you should answer me. Hashem says, you've overdrawn your line of credit endless times. Therefore, it's gratis. Yaakov, the whole idea was, I've suffered enough. I just want some peace. But the suffering, what is the value of that suffering? It's the world to come. And therefore, the expression of Chazal is lo dailid tzadikim sheish lam cheluk lamavo. They have a share in the world to come, and now you want tranquility in this world. I'm giving you opportunity, and you're seeing opportunity as what? That I'm ruffling your feathers. But ruffling your feathers, that's the ultimate opportunity. He has another interpretation of Vaeschanan. The 10 expressions of tefillah. Vaeschanan is one of the 10. And the Midrash delineates the 10 expressions of tefillah. Meaning, like we find when Yitzhak prayed to have a child, the Torah uses the term vayetar. Vayetar. It's also an expression of tefillah. What's vayetar? So the Gemara tells us in Sukkah that what is a yetar? Atar is a pitchfork. What do you do with a pitchfork? The farmer takes things, he turns them over. He can turn things upside down. It's an expression that can overturn midas hadin to midas harachmim. It's a very strong expression of tefillah. That's vayetar. Vayifka, we find. Pigio is also very strong. Each one has its nuance of strength of tefillah. And because here everything was at stake at this moment. If Moshe does not succeed, he doesn't cross the Yarden, the Jordan. If he does, therefore he drew Vaeschanan. It's one of the expressions of tefillah. But how many are there? 10. So it's not coincidental, the 10. We always say that we find the number 10 keeps resurfacing. Where do we find it? Asera Maimoros Negra Olam, the Mishnah Pirkei Avos. God created the world with 10 utterances. Avraham Avinu was tested with 10 tests. There were Eser Makos. There were 10 plagues in Egypt. The Mishnah says there were 10 miracles on the Yam Suf. God tested us 10 times in the Midbar, and we failed. We were tested 10 times. We have the Aseres HaDibros. The 10, everything's 10. And now Tefillah, the 10 expressions of Tefillah. Again, it's all the same. What is the profile and the parameters of existence within the spiritual realm and the physical realm? How did it all come about? Asar Maimoros Nivra Olam. 10 utterances. So whatever is needed to accommodate and maintain and bring about the purpose and the objective of the 10 Maimoros, everything manifests in 10. What is the objective of creation? The Torah. That's the Torah. That's Aseret Dibros. So the reason why it was 10 Maimoros is because that is Istaka B'Raisa Borealma. God saw what the Torah is. The Torah itself is 10. As a result of that, what is the blueprint for the world? The Torah, which is 10. Therefore, the 10 utterances which brought existence into existence. What do you need to qualify that Avram should be qualified to be the founding patriarch of Klal Yisrael? He needs 10 tests. He had to meet those 10 tests to be the qualified patriarch, which is the foundation of Klal Yisrael. Egypt, which was the counterforce, the Klal Yisrael, needed 10 plagues to destroy them, to bring the Jews, to reinstate them for their ascent to Sinai. That was 10. That was the launch. The launch was 10 plagues. But what was the value of the 10? That 10 was necessary to bring us to the Sinai. What Sinai? Sinai is 10. That's Asar Maimoros. Tefillah, which is Rachmim, discussed many times. Tefillah is Rachmim. Without Rachmim, we can't succeed. So Hashem gave us 10 expressions of Tefillah, which is Rachmim, to be able to succeed in Aseret Dibros, which is the objective of existence, because without that, we cannot succeed. When Avram commissioned or sent Eliezer's servant, his slave, to find a wife for Yitzchak, the Torah makes it a point, he took 10 camels of his masters, Migmali Adonov, and he sent, and with all his wealth, he had a document, he transferred all his wealth to Yitzchak, because he knew exactly who he's dealing with. Rivka's family. That's the only way he could negotiate to close the deal and leave. What does Torah tell us? He took 10 camels. And if we were taking 5 camels, would have been the same. Yosef, it says, he sent to his father 10 donkeys laden with whatever it is for his father to come to Egypt. Why 10? Again, the 10 is reserved. What was the value of Eliezer going to find the wife? Without a matriarch, you don't have a patriarch. You can only have a Klal Yisrael if Rivka becomes the wife of Yitzchak. Therefore, it's 10 donkeys. It's 10 camels. So it's always the 10, because every one of these instances is essential for the formation and evolution of Klal Yisrael, to meet the certain prerequisites, and things should be in place. Ebrano, please allow me to cross over. The Ere Esa Oretz Hatova, Hashem Evrei Yarden, that I should be able to see the land on the other side of the Jordan. Hahora Tova Zebel Avonon. So Rashi explains. Eber no eloloshem bakosha. No is an expression of pleading. Hora Tova Ze Yushalayim Halavono Ze Beis Hamikdash. Okay. So here, if you take a look at the Siforno, why did Moshe Rabbeinu? He said, Eber no the ere. Allow me to cross and I should see. So here he says, Eber no, lahachris kol yoshvei Canaan, to destroy all the inhabitants of Canaan, kadesh lo yiglu yisro mimeno. So the Jewish people should never be exiled from the land. Yoshua did not destroy all the nations of Canaan. And the Torah says explicitly, the nations will be like thorns in your sides. They will be your Achilles heel, that ultimately you're going to fail because of them. Moshe says, if I go in, they're all going to be destroyed. And if they're destroyed, the Jews will never go into exile. Now, this is the next one. The era is, and let me see the land. What did Moshe Rabbeinu use to, and let me see the land? Etin ein bo l'tova. That my eye will look at it in the positive way. There's an ayin tova. B'birchosi shetia tova l'ishol olam. Because if my eye comes upon the land, it'll allow it and cause it always be l'tova, always be good for the Jews in Canaan. Because of Moshe Rabbeinu's ayin tova. It's interesting. We speak about Bilam. Bilam, what did he have? He had ayin ro. He had an evil eye. Moshe Rabbeinu was the counterforce to Bilam. Each one was the counterforce to the other. Moshe Rabbeinu was the ultimate ayin tova. If my eye sees the land, it'd always be bracha for the Jews. That's why he wanted to go across. It wasn't that he should live. It was for the sake of the Klal Yisrael that they'll be in a position more secure. The bracha will be to a greater degree. That's why he wanted to go in. That's the error. Moshe Rabbeinu, whenever he supplicated Hashem when we could be destroyed, what was always his point? He went to bat for us like nobody went to bat for Klal Yisrael. Why is that? Moshe Rabbeinu lived for one reason, only for God's glory. And nobody lived for God's glory as Moshe lived for God's glory. But what is the context of God's glory? Klal Yisrael. So the reason why Klal Yisrael to Moshe Rabbeinu was the ultimate, because the Klal Yisrael is synonymous with God's glory. So therefore, just as Moshe Rabbeinu was negated to Hashem and whatever he wanted, and what did God want? Klal Yisrael is Mamlechas Kohanim Kodosh. We're the princely, kingly nation with the holy people. We are the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. As a result of that, the ayin tova of Moshe for Klal Yisrael is the ultimate, because Klal Yisrael is Hashem. That is Hashem's glory. Therefore, he says, I want to see the land. For that reason, that they should be the greatest beneficiaries, because if they are, they ultimately will be, in that context, the greatest glory. Because if they anything less than that is a chil Hashem. The Holocaust was a chil Hashem. Right? For the world. If the Jews are God's people, why is he doing this to us? I mean, there are answers. Tzaddik ben Musa Yichya. But that the question is asked is a chil Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to avert all this. It should never happen. How was that? Ever know the error. If I go in, I will vanquish those nations. In addition, there'll be ayin tova. Because of my good eye, the Jews will be taken over the top. They'll have the ultimate level of success within the spiritual realm. The footnote in the Nefesh Chaim addresses this. The Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avos, having Mishamshitz a Rav Shalom Mastakabel Pras. When you serve the master, it should not be for the sake of reward, but it should be Shalom Mastakabel Pras. The Gemara tells us a Sota, when Moshe Rabbeinu prayed to go into Eretz Yisrael, Hashem says to him, why do you want to go in? Is it because you want to fulfill the mitzvahs Atluis Voretz? To fulfill the mitzvahs that are dependent, a contingent of being, you have to be in Eretz Yisrael, many the laws. So Hashem says, I will give you all reward for those mitzvahs. Even if you don't go in, you'll be rewarded. As if you did go in. So they ask the question. I mean, did Moshe Rabbeinu want to go in for the sake of reward? So when he fulfills those mitzvahs, he should have that reward. Is that what he wanted? Okay, it's a question which is asked. And Moshe Rabbeinu, the ultimate, he's Shalom Lastakabel Pras. Hashem says, consider it as if you had it. So what would you answer to that question? It's a very powerful, strong question. The footnote in the Nefesh Chaim explains, why did Hashem create the world? If God is absolute in every aspect of his being, and God's infinite. God needs nothing. So if God needs nothing, why did he create the world? So David says in Tehillim, David HaMelech, Olam Chesed Yiboneh. And the Ramchal says, what does that mean? Hashem is goodness on the absolute level. Good does good. It's something you do. It's not you need it. You just do it. So giving man the opportunity that if he succeeds, he will be the beneficiary of the ultimate good. Therefore, that's the objective of creation. That the human being, that through choice, he makes the right choice, will have a relation with Hashem, which is the source of goodness on the absolute level. That's the Ramchal. Okay? When it says you should not be Misham Shel Rav Lamas L'Kapel Pras, it's I want to be rewarded. You want to be rewarded for you. What about if the reason why I want to reward is because I want to meet the objective of creation? It's not because I'm the beneficiary, because that's what you wanted. You, Hashem, you created this world that man should be the beneficiary on the ultimate level. By me not going in to Eretz Yisrael and not being worthy of that reward, because I'm not going to fulfill those mitzvos, I mean, that objective is not going to be addressed. So Hashem says, you will be a beneficiary of that goodness. But Moshe is not asking for himself that he should be the beneficiary. It's that the objective of creation, that mankind, through choice, should be able to meet the objective of creation, that God is the source of absolute goodness, the man should be the beneficiary of that goodness. That's the answer which is given. You hear the answer. You have to think about it a little bit. But I was thinking, while I was asking the question, the Rav Chaim Vital, which the Chofetz Chaim mentions many times, explains that just as you have Ramach Ivorim, the 248 parts to the human body, there are 248 components to the soul of a Jew. And the Ramach Mitzvah say, the 240 positive commandments, each one corresponds to another component of the neshama. As a result of that, the infusion of spiritual nourishment of every mitzvah, which corresponds to that particular component, perfects that part of the neshama. So if you have mitzvah tluis boretz, which are positive commandments, so if a person is not ever able to fill those commandments, comes out, those components remain deficient because they didn't have that infusion. So Moshe Rabbeinu understood who his neshama was. He needed, if the objective is that I should perfect my neshama, not for the reward. I have to do the mitzvah because the result of the mitzvah creates an energy, which is an infusion in that part of my neshama. But if I'm denied, I can't go in, that part of my neshama is never perfected. I don't receive that infusion. Hashem says, consider it, you do have it. Even though you will not fulfill it because you want it, I consider as if you did, therefore you have that infusion. So therefore that component, although you didn't actually execute the mitzvah, actualize it, you're a beneficiary of that, and therefore you're complete. Your neshama is complete. That was the dialogue between Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu. You know, this goes into the concept. The Gemara says regarding a non-Jew, if a non-Jew has an evil thought and he wants to bring it about, and he's not able to bring it about because something interferes, but he would have, if not for that interference, he's held fully culpable for that action. Where do we learn it from? We see this from Lavan. Lavan Arami, it says, Arami Ovid Ovi. That means Lavan destroyed our father. If not for Hashem's intervention, when Lavan pursued Yaakov, he would have killed him. He wanted to kill him. Hashem intervened and came to him in the dream. It says, don't touch Yaakov, not good, not bad. And Lavan only says, I would have killed you if God wouldn't have intervened. That's Arami Ovidovi. Regarding a Jew, we say, Mechshava Tova. That a good thought, if you want to do a mitzvah, and you're not able to actualize the mitzvah because something interferes, but you would have, if not for the interference, you're fully accredited for the mitzvah. That's the Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to do the mitzvah. He wanted to go in, to be a beneficiary. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, because you want it to that degree, and the only reason why you're not able to actualize it, because I'm not allowing you, you get full credit, and therefore you get the full infusion of the value of that mitzvah that you wanted to do. That's what I was thinking while I asked the question.